Hi, good day everyone. My name is Nigel Tan. I'm the Senior SC from Veeam for Cloud and Service Provider. Together with me, I have Desmond, who is going to talk about our Veeam and AWS technical architecture.
Hi everyone, my name is Desmond Lai. I'm the AWS Storage Tech Partners SA for APJ. And as mentioned by Nigel, we're going to talk a bit about how we can deploy Veeam on AWS. Now, Nigel, for most of our customers, especially on the bigger organizations, they do deploy AWS accounts based on organizations which reflects their real life business unit counterparts.
Yep.
Which means they do have multiple accounts.
Yep.
Right? And these multiple accounts allows them to scale their workloads accordingly.
Yes.
To provide safe boundary between different accounts, different business units, and of course allows them to manage costs and usage independently and more efficiently.
Yep.
Now, with that being said, how does data protection with Veeam works with multi-account strategies?
Okay, the concept here is that how Veeam can effectively manage cloud accounts is that we reckon that most of the time different organizations might have different group of personas running in different BUs, and as a such that they have different BUs that is associated to different cost center. And that's why it is necessary to understand how we can help them to effectively manage distributed infrastructures running in AWS. Correct.
Right. So let's say if we want to deploy Veeam in such a infrastructure, how would that look like?
Okay, the deployment is very straightforward. So first of all, you can actually start off by deploying Veeam Backup for AWS, or VBA for short, through AWS Marketplace. Or if you are existing Veeam customers, you can leverage on your Veeam Backup replication server to deploy via the console. So what's going to happen here is that if you look at this context, it will kick off an initial cloud formation process by indicating what is the region and the necessary parameters in the configuration, such as the VPC, the subnet, and the necessary security, key pairs, and networking settings. And what happens here is that Veeam will automatically take care of the provisioning of the VBA in an account, and we also recommend that this account should be a dedicated backup account.
Right.
And when this automation is complete, the VBA will be automatically spin up and successfully deployed in this backup account.
Right. So with CloudFormation stack sets, it's a pretty much automated process.
Yes,
and
correct.
I would say it's customizable based on the organization structure you design.
Yes,
right?
correct.
So my next question is this. Now I've deployed VBA in this backup account. So how is VBA going to be backing up workloads from, let's say, my production account here? How is it going to take care of cross-account backups?
The concept here is that we're going to leverage on assume role basis. And what's going to happen here is that we will predefine a set of permissions associated to the IAM role in the account that we plan to back up.
Right.
And what we are going to have another role, and we're going to take this role and delegate the permissions to this. So what happened here is that in this manner, the VBA will assume the role of the IAM role in the production account and perform the necessary backup and recovery operations. And so once that's happened, everything can be managed from the backup account independently.
Great. So using role-based access controls.
Yes, correct.
With IAM to provide least privilege access, just so that we have the sufficient, I would say, permissions, right, to perform backup, discovery, and of course recovery itself. So tell me, Nigel, how does the backup flow works?
It's pretty straightforward from the aspect that once the VBA has assumed the role, it will actually need to do is we can discover the necessary easy to instance all this. So what we're going to get started is that we need a policy to be in place to define what to back up, when to back up depending on the SLA, RPO, and how to back up. Do you need to export the snapshots back up to a S3 bucket, and Also, where do you want to back up? So you can define it. So with the policy in place, we'll define, okay, let's say we'll define this EC2 to be protected. And going to happen is, depending on the schedule, you'll kickstart a snapshot process. So in this way, Veeam will keep track of the restore point from the snapshot. So we will be able to completely able to understand and share with you the administrators what is the recovery point you need to restore from in future.
All right, great. So it all starts with snapshots.
Yes, correct.
Great. So, well, snapshots is great. It's fast. It provides very tight SLAs, RTO,
Yes,
and RPOs. However, snapshot, as they say, isn't really a true data protection mechanism.
Yep.
Due to maybe costs, right? So how can Veeam actually help in this regard?
So the VBA do it in a very intelligent way. So with the assumed role, IAM role in place, we will dynamically provision a Linux instance. We call it a workers node. And this guy will take care of managing the snapshot process and pushing it to a S3 bucket, which we have predefined in the policy earlier on.
Right.
So as a matter of best practice, it's always good to have a S3 endpoint service in place to make sure that the data flows within the AWS network.
Right.
So also to add on, you can also define in your policy, let's say, if you want to keep the data for even extended long-term retention, we can even extend this to archive tier storage such as Glacier or Deep Archive.
Great.
That's
So
possible as well.
for archiving, for really, really, really cool storage.
Yes.
And compliance purposes.
Yes.
Great. So that looks good. But however, we are talking about multi-account strategies. So let's say if my customer, typically they will spin up another dev test account.
Okay.
Your production workload will be in region A.
Yep.
They prefer to do their dev test in region B.
Like I mentioned earlier. Yes.
Correct. So how can our customers deploy Veeam in another region, in another account?
So you are referring to the recovery backup to a remote account, probably for dev testing purpose. Yeah, I mean, under the policy perspective, we can define that the where to backup to can be defined in a remote S3 bucket. So using the same workers node concept, we will assign the worker node, and the worker node will be able to tell which S3 bucket to backup to. And from there onwards, you can achieve so-called the offsite or probably a remote exporting the snapshot to a remote S3 bucket.
Location, right.
Yeah.
Great. So it seems that Veeam is able to push data from region A, from production account,
Yep.
to a different region,
Yes.
to a different account.
Yep.
So what else can we do with this dev test account in another region?
Yeah, what we're going to do here is we're going to make sure that we can reuse the data to either for cross-region or cross-account recovery, or maybe for the purpose of recovery in a dev environment. So how
maybe sandbox testing?
Yes, correct. So in this case, we are going to use the same concept of cross-IAM account, and we are going to assume the role from the backup account, going back to here, and when the VBA has the permission rights to access anything in this dev account, what we're going to do is we will provision the workers node.
Right.
And this workers node will be responsible for managing the data access from the S3 and restore it in a new EC2 workload. And these tasks are all taken care automatically by Veeam.
Right. So you mean all these worker nodes that I see, it looks like a lot of instances are being spun up.
Yes.
Is this all managed by customers, admins?
Yes,
or?
correct. So before I go to add on, this is probably part of the out of place restoration, and for in place restoration, it's the same process. So we have another workable node spawn out in this production account, and restoration process will be taken care by Veeam, and you have a new EC2 workload. And what you mentioned here is there is a lot of worker nodes here.
Right.
And the beauty thing about what VBA does here is all these are taken care automatically, and when there's no backup or restore operations, it will be terminated automatically as well.
Alright,
It's on demand basis.
When there's no workloads, Veeam will actually terminate these instances to ensure it's not running.
Yes, correct. And there is absolutely zero overhead or management required to manage this worker node by administrators.
And I also assume there's no additional running costs as well.
Yes, it will be very, very minimal because everything is just on job basis.
Alright, looks good. It seems everything is automated with Veeam.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. Okay, thank you, Desmond, for joining us. I hope you guys enjoyed the session today. So feel free to check out our other video series as well. Thank you and have a good day.
Thank you.